the stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her, and in order to cover up.
Talk to Andrew Morton, talk to Tom Bauer. All of these people that have written books about her have been like, it's a struggle to get to the truth of who this female was before she meets Prince Harry.
So all of these lies started coming out, but we didn't know that she had told the royal family so many porcupines.
Let's be real for a minute. If royal hypocrisy were an Olympic event, Meghan wouldn't just show up. She'd sweep the podium without breaking a sweat. Every time another speech drops about authenticity or living your truth from that Montecito mansion, people freeze mid-scroll and squint at their screens. Like, did that really just happen? It's the kind of moment that makes you check your Wi-Fi twice, just to be sure you heard it right. Because something about it doesn't sit easy, then the plot thickens. And not in a small way. Enter Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister and longtime critic, who recently started hinting that the public may not have been given the full picture.
And to be proud and to empower other women when she's out there using her platform. Be proud of who you are. Work hard. You don't have to pretend to be someone else. You don't have to dress like Diana. You don't have to say you got grants and scholarships. Give accolades to those who bring you.
This wasn't some random rant tossed online at 2 a.m. It didn't feel emotional or messy. It felt planned, measured, intentional. For years, Meghan's image has been packaged like a glossy fairy tale. The modern Cinderella, the actress who married a prince, survived ruthless headlines, and stepped out as a polished activist voice. It's clean, it's powerful, it sells. But lately, online chatter has been poking holes in that shiny surface. And when people start zooming in, that Pinterest-perfect image begins to look more like a reality show, where a few key scenes never made the final cut.
So it makes sense. Oh my God, I've got to keep everybody away because if they start talking, the lies.
Now let's slow this down and be fair. There is no confirmed proof of secret files, hidden timelines, or buried family records. What we have right now is speculation, rumors bouncing across social media, old interviews getting dusted off. But when a close relative suggests parts of the past were cleaned up, people don't just ignore that, they start digging. That's when a forgotten 2019 moment suddenly came back to life. During a casual interview, actress Paula Trickey made a brief remark about Meghan's life before global fame. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't detailed. Just a simple comment dropped so casually that almost nobody noticed at the time. No documents, no accusations, just one sentence floating out there. Back then, the PR machine was running at full speed. Any storyline that didn't match the polished narrative got brushed aside fast. Fans weren't questioning anything. They were quoting interviews, sharing clips, and binge-watching documentaries like they were official history lessons.
A lot of people are saying, oh, this is from her first boyfriend that was, but it's not him. Apparently, it was the cousin. It's pretty shocking, isn't it? One thing is curious. He does mention that she looked pregnant in the article, but he says, that's me standing with her, but he doesn't deny it. Her cousin in this article did not flat out deny, said that she wasn't pregnant with my child. He just says, she looked pregnant and that's me standing with her. People were saying all kinds of crazy things. Why can't you just deny?
But fast forward to now, and that old comment hits different. It's not being treated as fact. It's not hard evidence. It's something else entirely. It's a spark, and the internet loves a spark. Because once Samantha Markle started hinting that there were pieces the public never heard about, everything shifted. That old clip resurfaced, and instead of being laughed off as random gossip, it started to look like a breadcrumb. A small one, but still a breadcrumb. And breadcrumbs lead somewhere. Maybe Paula Trickey wasn't trying to stir anything up. Maybe she simply said something ordinary that later took on a bigger meaning. Maybe it was nothing at all. But in royal circles, things rarely disappear completely. Stories don't vanish. They sit quietly in the shadows, waiting for the spotlight to swing back around. And once people start questioning the narrative, the silence doesn't calm things down. It gets louder. If Paula lit the match, Samantha walked in holding something way stronger.
What we said, everything I said in the beginning was favorable. Nobody printed that. And when I said nothing, they created stories. And it was really just, and why? It would have been so easy to be honest about who she is.
She's reinvented herself so many times throughout the last 44 years.
And right on cue, critics jumped in with the usual lines. She's jealous, she wants money, she's chasing attention. Sure, those arguments exist. But this time, felt different. Samantha didn't rant. She didn't run to tabloids. She didn't grab a mic and go wild. She stayed calm, controlled, precise. And in the world of image control, that kind of restraint can hit harder than chaos ever could. For years, Meghan treated Samantha like a background extra, someone erased from the storyline completely. But this time, Samantha didn't throw accusations around. She made implications. She talked about stories being buried, about parts of the past being cleaned up, and between those words sat something heavier than any direct claim. That tone? It was PR kryptonite. When a close relative speaks like the narrator of a true crime documentary, people stop scrolling and lean in. Every sentence carried quiet pressure. She didn't sound angry, she sounded deliberate.
She was a caddy for all of my celebrities. I had Joe Montana. Anybody that's here was at my tournament in 2008. She was one of the Giuliano girls that were caddies that I pawned them off as caddies to the highest bidders. She was so loved. You know, I'm laughing because I'm like, good for her. I mean, she met the prince. She made a great life for herself. Good for her. Everything you're not supposed to be. Multi-ethnic, and she's been married. She already has a kid from someone.
Almost like she was saying, I could say more, but not today. And just like that, the energy shifted fast. Suddenly, she wasn't framed as the bitter sister. She looked like someone holding a piece of the puzzle. No documents, no screenshots, no big reveal, just the idea that something might exist. And that idea? It spread like wildfire. Within hours, the internet was dissecting everything. Old interviews were replayed frame by frame. YouTubers broke down body language from years ago like they were analyzing courtroom footage. Hashtags started trending almost overnight. Samantha never spelled out what was buried. She didn't have to. The mystery did the heavy lifting. Because once the internet senses even a hint of secrecy, it doesn't slow down. It builds theories. It crowdsources clues. It turns speculation into a full-blown investigation board. That's exactly what happened. After Samantha's comments went viral, amateur detectives flooded timelines. People with regular 9-to-5 jobs suddenly became timeline analysts, connecting dots Meghan likely assumed were long forgotten. A theory that once sounded ridiculous started gaining traction. At first, it was a joke. No way, that's reaching.
If this lady, Meghan Markle, gave birth in 1997, why is she sealing these documents now? We know that she had her marriage documents sealed at the first or second marriage to Trevor Engelson. They got married. People think that she got married in Jamaica. No, she got married in a civil ceremony in California, and she had those documents sealed. The wedding certificate is sealed. She didn't even tell her father, her mother, nobody. They just grab random witnesses because when Ninake Pretty wasn't even there. So why wait so many years to seal these documents on December 2018?
But then small details began lining up in ways that made people uncomfortable. Now, let's keep this fair. There is still no proof, no official documents, no confirmed records, no verified photos, just gaps, missing stretches of time that raise eyebrows, but don't answer anything outright. Still, fans started digging through yearbooks, public records, and archived family photos, not uncovering bombshells, but spotting patterns. And when you're a public figure, patterns alone can create noise. Every time Meghan talks about her early adult years, critics say parts of the timeline feel trimmed, like a jump cut right in the middle of a movie scene. Then palace insiders brushed it off as nonsense. But that dismissal didn't calm things down. It made people more suspicious. Because if it's completely fake, why not shut it down cleanly and move on? Why let silence stretch out? Soon, online forums were mapping out missing months. Commentators broke down past interviews like intelligence briefings. Even skeptical reporters started quietly circling the same question. Is this just internet fiction? Or is the silence strategic? And every gripping conspiracy needs a name. Something searchable at 3 a.m. when someone falls deep into the rabbit hole. That's when one name began circulating: Joseph Giuliano. From there, the volume only went up. Joe quickly became the internet's favorite missing puzzle piece. Online forums didn't just talk about him, they turned him into a legend, the so-called ghost groom. A man some users claimed had a secret relationship with Meghan long before her very public marriage to Prince Harry.
I wrote to
the state of California birth records office. I wrote to them and I said, I don't have documentation. All I have is this data. They conducted a search with finding if a Rachel Meghan Markle had given birth in the state of California, if she has any other children. You'll be surprised to see what they gave me. They can't find the child, Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, but they did tell me that a Miss Rachel Meghan Markle gave birth to a child in 1997. They can't disclose the details because those were sealed. And look at the date these documents were sealed.
According to the loudest voices online, this mystery guy was the missing piece at the center of the chaos. And the reaction? Pure digital meltdown. Message boards went nuclear. Random photos of blonde men from the early 2000s were suddenly labeled as proof. YouTube thumbnails screamed, "Secret marriage exposed," in giant red letters like it was breaking news. It felt less like research and more like a full-blown internet fever dream. But here's the problem. The theory cracked almost as fast as it spread. There was less evidence for the so-called Joe Giuliano story than for Bigfoot having a LinkedIn page. No marriage license, no verified ceremony photos, no confirmed witnesses stepping forward to say, "Yeah, I was there." Nothing solid, not even close. As the hype grew, the holes got bigger. Dates didn't match up. Stories contradicted each other. Timelines fell apart under basic scrutiny. Even people who normally chase every rumor had to admit this one didn't hold together. Not because they suddenly switched sides, but because the narrative collapsed under its own weight. And that's when things got interesting. If the Giuliano theory had no legs, why did it travel so fast? The timing felt almost too perfect, like a distraction, a smokescreen that kept everyone staring at the wrong name while something else stayed blurry in the background. Just as the internet seemed ready to drop it, the conversation swerved again. And this time, it felt straight out of daytime television. Instead of hunting for mystery strangers, people started re-examining the family tree already in plain sight. That's when attention shifted to Sean Johnson, a cousin most viewers had never even heard of before. If that name doesn't ring a bell, you weren't alone. But once online sleuths locked in, the angle changed completely. The theory wasn't about someone hidden away anymore.
Johnson finally came out and talked against Meghan Markle, that her friend is now saying that, yeah, they did hook up. And not only that, she did get pregnant.
It was about someone visible all along, not hidden, just relabeled. Speculation exploded around the idea that family roles may have been quietly rearranged, that certain records were vague, that stories were simplified, that silence was maintained to keep future narratives smooth and clean. Is it far-fetched? Absolutely. But that didn't stop people from diving in head first. Old home videos were paused and zoomed in. Facial features were compared side by side. Smiles, expressions, mannerisms. At some point, facts stopped driving the conversation. Vibes took over. And in the court of public opinion, vibes can move faster than paperwork ever could. Family resemblance became the internet's favorite substitute for DNA testing. And through all of it, the loudest response from anyone involved was silence. Then just when the noise started fading, another twist dropped. A letter. Not a text, not an email. A physical letter allegedly connected to Samantha Markle. And that's when the internet completely spiraled. Screenshots flew across social media. Claims spread that the letter referenced truth and an unresolved family matter. Handwriting was analyzed like it was part of a courtroom exhibit. People debated authenticity, but the timing was sharp. The letter surfaced right as Meghan was pivoting toward a softer, lifestyle-focused brand image. Suddenly, nobody was talking about wellness or curated living anymore. The spotlight snapped back to theories and unanswered questions. And once again, Samantha stayed calm. She didn't confirm the letter, she didn't deny it either. And in media language, that kind of silence can speak louder than any statement ever could. And just when it felt like the storm might finally slow down, the temperature online spiked again. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit out loud. This was never just about one rumor.
I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
It wasn't just about a ghost groom. It wasn't just about a cousin's name suddenly trending. It was about control, about who gets to tell the story and who doesn't. For years, Meghan's narrative has been tight, polished, carefully structured from early interviews to headline moments with Prince Harry. Every chapter flowed into the next like it was edited in advance. But once the internet started sensing gaps, people didn't just question one detail. They started questioning the whole blueprint. And that's when the conversation turned from gossip to strategy. Commentators began asking a different kind of question. Not, is this rumor true? But, who benefits from this version of events? That shift hit different. Because when you stop chasing drama and start analyzing motive, the energy changes fast. Some critics claimed the silence from Meghan's camp wasn't accidental. They argued it was calculated, that responding would legitimize speculation, that ignoring it would starve it. But here's the twist. The silence didn't starve anything. It fed curiosity. Every time a spokesperson declined to comment, threads doubled in size. Every time insiders brushed things off vaguely, people screenshot the wording and dissected it like a legal statement. Tone, timing, even punctuation got analyzed. And then came another layer. Old speeches resurfaced, clips from interviews years ago started trending again. People weren't just listening to what was said, they were studying what wasn't said. The pauses, the skipped years, the carefully phrased answers about early struggles and finding independence. No accusations, no confirmed wrongdoing, just questions stacking up. Meanwhile, supporters pushed back hard. They pointed out how often public women, especially high-profile ones, get their past twisted into mystery novels. They argued this was just another cycle of over-analysis, that sometimes a gap in public information is just privacy.
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right, and everything she said has come true.
And that's fair. But in the digital age, privacy and secrecy get blurred fast, especially when someone builds a brand around authenticity and transparency. The louder the promise of, this is my truth, the more people feel invited to fact-check it. That tension? It's explosive. By now, the story wasn't even about one alleged name or one missing timeline. It became about credibility, about consistency, about whether the public persona matches the private history. Forums started creating side-by-side timelines. Major life events were placed next to media appearances. Users debated not just dates, but tone shifts. When did the narrative change? When did certain relatives disappear from interviews? When did certain phrases start repeating? None of it proved anything, but it kept the spotlight locked in place. And here's what makes this whole situation wild. No official bombshell ever dropped. No dramatic reveal. No shocking confession. Just layers of speculation building on top of strategic silence. That kind of slow burn controversy doesn't explode overnight. It simmers. Right now, there's still no verified secret marriage, no confirmed hidden family twist, no documented cover-up, just a public figure whose story is being pulled apart in real time by millions of strangers with Wi-Fi and too much curiosity. And the biggest question hanging in the air isn't, what's the secret? It's, why does this feel unfinished? Because when a narrative is airtight, it doesn't invite this much re-examination. But when even small cracks appear, people don't look away. They zoom in. And until someone decides to speak clearly or the noise finally fades, one thing is certain. The internet isn't done asking questions yet. One sister says nothing, the other moves like nothing can touch her. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, speculation hit a full boil. Online theorists became convinced that the mysterious letter was the final breadcrumb, the last quiet clue pointing towards something still being kept private. From there, the pressure didn't cool off, it intensified. People started asking if certain details had been scrubbed from public records. Was something edited out? Was it ever real in the first place? Truth is, nobody knows for sure, but in this arena, perception is power. And right now, the perception floating around is that the Markle family tree might have roots deeper and more tangled than anyone expected. You would think the world would get bored by now. Most scandals burn hot and disappear fast. 1 week you're trending. The next week, people forget your name. But this rumor, it refuses to fade. It keeps coming back like it has survival instincts. Every time it gets buried, someone drags it back into the light. And here's why. Meghan built her public identity around control. Every appearance feels curated. Every smile looks measured. Even spontaneous moments seem carefully framed. When a brand is that polished, people don't just admire it, they examine it, they search for cracks in the surface, they look for the unscripted second, the detail that slipped past the edit. That hunger fuels everything. Samantha Markle seems to understand that dynamic perfectly. She doesn't need loud confrontations. She doesn't need dramatic reveals. She uses precision. One cryptic line, one carefully timed silence, one no comment at just the right moment. And suddenly the internet lights up again. The media doesn't exactly slow it down either. Headlines act shocked while racking up clicks. Comment sections explode. Supporters rush in to defend Meghan. Critics push harder. The engagement machine spins non-stop. Everyone profits from the noise except the people stuck in the middle of it. Then came whispers of an alleged DNA mystery. No verified documents, no confirmed evidence, just a phrase that sounded dramatic enough to spread fast. Will it ever be resolved? Maybe. Maybe not. It might not even exist beyond speculation. But the mystery itself? That's the real currency. Mystery keeps attention locked in. It keeps conversations alive. It keeps pressure building in the background. Because in the Markle universe, silence doesn't read as peace to critics. It reads as tension, like something is waiting behind that flawless public smile. Samantha may have started with a whisper, but it's the reaction that keeps the story breathing. Every unanswered question, every timeline that feels slightly off, every carefully chosen pause. The noise doesn't shrink, it grows. Now the conversation isn't, is there more? It's, when does something finally give? And just when this saga felt like it had reached its peak, another name came roaring back into headlines. Tom Bower. His explosive book, Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors already shook the narrative once before. But insiders now claim Meghan's team had a strong reaction the moment those pages hit print. Not public outrage, not official statements. Something quieter, faster, strategic. Sources suggest damage control meetings started immediately. Messaging shifted. Appearances were adjusted. The calm, composed image reportedly took a hit behind closed doors as teams scrambled to manage fallout. What really happened behind those polished curtains when that book dropped? That's where this story goes next. Because if you thought the rumors were loud before, what unfolded after those pages circulated added a whole new layer to the drama. If you watch this and have thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe and stay locked in for more deep dives like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who needs to see it.